There's a lot of talk of that lately. Will he eventually have to put ground troops in there? He said no in the past. He was asked during his trip to Australia, would that ever change? He says, well, you can't rule anything out. You could have hypotheticals like what if ISIS were to have a nuclear device, which is a nice chilling thought for a Sunday morning. It's early still. They didn't expect this campaign to turn things over overnight. But there's an impatience, obviously, that this latest incident, underscores, and how much longer can the president hold people together behind a strategy that hasn't yet seemed to produce the results people want.
Right. Peter made the point about what the president said. So let's go through this. And let's start, though, with General Dempsey. America's top general was before Congress the other day. He's actually in Iraq right now having consultations with the Iraqi military and the Iraqi government about what to do next. But listen to General Dempsey before Congress. This is the second straight time he's gone before Congress. He knows the president has said no ground troops in Iraq. But listen to the general.
I'm not predicting at this point that I would recommend that those forces in Mosul and along the border would need to be accompanied by U.S. forces, but we're certainly considering it.
Certainly considering it, America's top general said. And as Peter Baker just noted, here's the president just hours ago wrapping up a week-long trip in Asia. He's in Australia on a news conference before heading home.
There are always circumstances in which the United States might need to deploy U.S. ground troops. If we discovered that ISIL had gotten possession of a nuclear weapon and we had to run an operation to get it out of their hands, then yes, you can anticipate that not only would Chairman Dempsey recommend me sending U.S. ground troops to get that weapon out of their hands, but I would order it.
Molly Ball, the president talking about the specter of ISIS possibly getting a nuclear weapon is one thing, but I also take that as again, a public rebuttal of the general who says we might need ground troops to help Iraqis up along the border, not a nuclear weapon confrontation. Why do we have, I guess is the question, this public tension between the Pentagon and the president over whether ground troops might be necessary? Well,
I think this is what the anti-interventionists are always warning about, mission creep. The idea that you have a military whose job it is to fight wars, and so that's always what they're going to want to do. And in any situation where they're being sort of hemmed in, as they may see it, that they are going to want to expand the mission to attack more forcefully because that is the way they feel that they can be most effective. So to those like the president himself who want to limit the scope of this and make sure that it doesn't get out of hand and become another full-fledged conflict, it's very difficult to push back against that because in any situation you're going to have setbacks like we are seeing today. It's going to be imperfect, it's going to be messy, it may not get the job done, and then you're going to have to reconsider, do we say, oh well, or do we expand the mission? And since the day the president announced this action, a lot of people on Capitol Hill, mostly Republicans, have been urging him to expand the mandate, and we're going to hear that more in this current session of Congress, wanting to expand the scope of what the U.S. is doing against ISIS.